Very good morning wherever you're watching us from. This is Kirk in the morning, the 8th of February 2023. I hope you had a good night and a good beginning to the morning. Welcome to the show. My name is Vincent Kerosi. We have a lot lined up for you, including a conversation this morning. We're going to look at the cracks in the Azimio la Umoja coalition. What is happening? Who is fooling who? Because there seems to be two factions in that coalition, but that is going to make our conversation this morning. Remember that you can weigh in on our conversation through our social media pages, Kirk TV Kenya on Facebook, @TV_Kenya on Twitter, as well as our SMS number 0311220044. We'll be able to look at your sentiments and your feedback as we continue with the show. But first things first, let's have a look at what is written in the top dailies this morning. Well, I have with me the Standard and the Daily Nation. We begin with this Daily Nation this morning, and the top page says the rogue judge, the tribunal, he wanted a stake in land deal paid in dollars and dirhams. Of course, this is a story on Judge Chitembwe, and this is what the paper says. The verdict of the tribunal is, even for a judge who shot to global infamy in 2017 when he was awarded the Golden Bludgeon for the worst judgment in the world, Justice Said Juma Chitembwe still had everything going for him, even making an unsuccessful bid for a seat at the Supreme Court. Now, a tribunal formed to investigate the suspended High Court judge has recommended his sacking for engaging in conduct unbecoming of a judge, and it all started after a falling out with former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko. Just what did Sonko's damning dossier contain? A story covered extensively in page 10, where the Daily Nation brings out what really was in that evidence that led to the tribunal formed by the JSC to recommend the ouster of Judge Said Chitembwe as far as this is concerned. You want to read that story, look at page 10 of the Daily Nation. It's covered extensively. Page 4 of the Daily Nation this morning, split widens in ODM as Ruto raids Raila's party. President William Ruto has rattled the opposition by hosting lawmakers allied to Mr. Raila Odinga, as simmering discord within the Orange Democratic Party movement. Leaders anti-government protests snowballed into an open internal revolt. Sources within ODM confided to Nation that there is a big split within the party over the anti-Ruto rallies, which some of the MPs have snapped, while accusing Mr. Odinga of sending conflict signals about having initially embraced the president. A story that is going to make part of a conversation this morning, covered on page 4 and 5 of the Nation this morning. A story that also caught my eyes this morning, a story covered in page 6 and 7. Of course, this to do with what the government's putting in place as far as the physical plans are concerned. The budget, supplementary budget here, the Ruto office gets 8 billion shillings in supplementary budget, and you remember this budget is going to be presented to Parliament as soon as the Parliament resumes its sittings next week. You can read that story on page 6 of the Daily Nation this morning. At the back page of the Daily Nation, Senate National Assembly differ on PSC powers and roles. Members of the National Assembly want the Supreme Court to bar senators from participating in the formulation of a law on the functions and powers of the Parliamentary Service Commission. A story at the back page of the Nation this morning. Basically, that is it with the Nation. Let's have a look at the Standard, what the journalists have covered this morning. The top page, radical proposals to jolt education sector. Among proposals to the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, one is to trim the powers of TSC. The team also is suggesting mergers of universities as well as a review of entry grades to teaching colleges. Story covered on page 6 and 7 of the Standard this morning. They've also covered story to do with Justice Chitembwe, and they say here how Justice Chitembwe dug pit that buried Plum career. Story also covered, of course, on page 4 of the Standard, and they say that Justice Chitembwe has 10 days to appeal to the Supreme Court, and because that is what he's intimated, that he's going to appeal the Supreme Court and maybe see if it's going to have a relook at what the tribunal has recommended. A story on page 4 of the Standard, as I told you, but page 5 of the Standard, they've covered extensively the story to do with the recommendation of the Presidential Working Party on Education, where they say that the TSC powers should be trimmed, and they also recommend the mergers of universities. For example, you say Kenyatta University merging with JQAT. That is part of what they are proposing this morning. Basically, that is what is in the papers this morning. As I always tell you, pick your favorite and get to read the stories covered in there extensively by my fellow journalists. Basically, that is the look at the papers this morning. Well, after the papers, we will delve into our conversation this morning shortly because my guests are in studio already, so don't go away. We'll come back to look at the shaky ground of Azimio la Umoja coalition, look at the cracks that look to emanate in that coalition and what is happening, who is fooling who, because the leader of the Azimio la Umoja some other time told the MPs that they were allowed to, especially when the president went to the Nyanza region, that they were allowed to work with him. But right about now, when they try to meet with him, it is an issue. Who is fooling who? That's the conversation that we're having this morning. Do not go away. This broadcast is live on our social media pages, YouTube, as well as Facebook, Active Kenya. We'll be right back shortly. Are you looking to grow your business? Kirk TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90647. Losing a beloved one can be one of the hardest life experiences. Death brings a total change in many setups
the family taking a huge position. Death also provides an opportunity to celebrate the departed and their achievements on earth. Kirk TV provides for you an opportunity to announce death and funeral at affordable fee. For more information, write to us via announcements@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647.
Kirk TV is a place to be. Let us build our own brand. Let us labor for this, because this is where the true mission is, and therefore partner with us. Keep it at Kirk, and we'll go far together.
To partner with us, send your financial support to pay bill number 401-9613, account partner. Pay bill number 401-9613, account partner.
Are you looking to grow your business? Kirk TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647. Losing a beloved one can be one of the hardest life experiences. Death brings a total change in many setups, the family taking a huge position. Death also provides an opportunity to celebrate the departed and their achievements on earth. Kirk TV provides for you an opportunity to announce death and funeral at affordable fee. For more information, write to us via announcements@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647.
Wĩhithe thakame-inĩ ya Kristo nĩ tondũ noho hena ũhurũko na thayũ. Bwana pesifa. Indo-inĩ ciaku gũtirĩ na ũhurũko nĩ tondũ ona watua gũthikwo gũtirĩ hingo tũrĩ twathoma rũgano rwaku tũkauga nĩ atiga ngari 10 na mboroti 400 kũrĩa mwena wa Lamu na ngenge ciegĩtengera. Gũtirĩ handũ handĩkagwo ũguo. Wandĩkagwo watiga atumia 3 na ciana 4. Ũhoro waku ũgĩka atĩa? Thutha wa wiki 2 tukariganirwo niwe na tukanjiriria muturire witu o ta kawaida. Okorwo ndurabangite nyumba yaku tugoka tukanjiriria kuruira ki indo iro cio ngibanga nyumba yaku wega. Bwana apewe sifa.
Greetings to all of you who watch Kirk TV programs. I send you Christian love and peace from all the Kirk family and the entire ministry. Since God gave us this Kirk TV, which is a very competent means of reaching people in and outside Kenya, Kirk TV is undoubtedly giving good and effective services to many people wherever our signal reaches. It is evident that God is at work through Kirk TV. We therefore need your loving support through your continuous prayers. We also appeal passionately for your generous financial support to help us be on air as the Lord will require us to do and to be. Please plan to give regularly. Please give occasionally, or you can begin to give a one-time gift. The scripture is right that you will be made rich in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion, and your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God. Please respond to this genuine, urgent appeal. Kindly be a Kirk TV partner. May God bless you abundantly as we join hands to do this good work.
To partner with us, send your financial support to pay bill number 4019613, account partner. Pay bill number 4019613, account partner. PCEA Enomatesiani Booth Boys High School is an ideal school for boys located in a quiet and serene environment, ideal for learning in Matasia, Kajiado County. The school works towards producing qualified students who become competent professionals in the society.
We offer a wide variety of subjects in our school. Our school is well equipped. We have a state-of-the-art library, a spacious boarding section, a modern kitchen, also Olympic-sized swimming pool where our students go and have their swimming lessons.
The school focuses its effort not only in classroom learning, but we also provide learners with equal opportunities, that is to hone their abilities and talents. We have games like football, chess, volleyball, among others. The climate here is also favorable for all students.
PCEA Enomatesiani Booth Boys High School is open for January 2023 intake in Forms 1, 2 and 3.
Our school is founded on Christian value. We appeal for you to register, and we know we'll be able to mentor your boys through our Christian setup.
We are going to mold our boys in Christian values, and we are committed to do so at this time when the boy child must be taken care of.
For more information, get in touch via 0796 560000, 0796 560000. Email us pcea@gmail.com.
All right, do I say a very good morning? No, I already said that. So I want to say welcome back because I have the guest with me in studio here. At my far right, of course, is a guy that we're used here. We used to have in these studios, and this is Kelvin Gundi. Karibu sana, Kelvin Gundi. But we have a new entrant into the studios, and this is Anita, the second. Kirote. Yes, you know that name is a famous name, especially in the entertainment sector of Kenya. But I know you're not an entertainer.
Yes, we'll bring it into politics.
Yes, yes. So we have Kelvin Gundi, a political commentator, as well as Anita Kirote, also a political analyst and commentator for that matter. And I just want to begin right away by playing a certain clip here, and you help me understand what it means. A clip on Raila Odinga said, "We do not recognize the legitimacy of the Kenya Kwanza government."
Recognize the Kenya Kwanza regime, and we consider the Kenya Kwanza government illegitimate. Two, we don't recognize Mr. William Ruto as the president of Kenya. We cannot and will not recognize the Kenya Kwanza regime, and we consider the Kenya Kwanza government illegitimate. Two, we don't recognize Mr. William Ruto as the president of Kenya.
All right, that's the leader of the Azimio la Umoja coalition, Raila Odinga, saying we cannot, of course, recognize the legitimacy of the Kenya Kwanza government, and we do not recognize William Ruto as the president of Kenya. I want to ask you, who is we in this context? Because as things look, the we is divided, if I may say so.
According to me, the we looks very individualistic, and maybe with a few hecklers from that crowd supporting that, but saying we do not recognize the legitimacy of a government that's been elected. We remember they went to the court, the High Court, Court of Appeal on the election, disputing the Supreme Court disputing the elections. And we saw all that dance for a week, and I think Kenyans are over it. It's been 100 days. The economy is as is currently. People are struggling to make ends meet. So I don't think anyone has time for that. And my question is whether we recognize the legitimacy of this government or not. It's not, doesn't the government continue running? Aren't bills being passed? Aren't directions being given by the cabinet secretaries and being adhered to? Isn't work being done? So what is the impact? That's what I want to see. What's the impact of not recognizing the legitimacy of the government of the day? And then also in terms of inspiring confidence, each and every election, you do not recognize the legitimacy of every elected leader. So it raises a lot of questions. I think sometimes there's also beauty in bowing out, playing opposition politics, and respecting that these are the elected leaders.
Let me bring in Kelvin. What do you understand when he says we? And looking at the scenario right now, what is happening in the opposition itself, the elected leaders of Azimio going to meet with the president and having a tete-a-tete for that matter. Yesterday you saw that. Yeah. Who is we in this, claims of the of the Azimio leader, Raila Odinga?
You know, like when he says we, like he says like the Azimio and his supporters. Because remember, like he was the runners-up in the just concluded elections, and of course like the difference was like around 200,000. So of course like he still have supporters, and of course some people also voted who voted in this government. Of course like some have also crossed sides, so like he still have the people. And of course like when he says we, he means that the Azimio supporters or his supporters, like they don't recognize the government. Yes.
Okay. But the reason why I'm asking this question is,
yes,
we've seen, the leaders elected in Azimio going to meet with the president, and they seem to, support the government of the day. We saw Jubilee leaders the other day, including Shabina Chege, who was so close and, at the forefront of the Azimio la Umoja campaigns. We saw Kanini Kega and others. Then we saw yesterday 8 ODM or elected leaders from Nyanza. Let me not say ODM because there was an independent candidate, elected leader there yesterday in Sharky Shabir. But we've seen them, going to the president and kind of giving him the support that the leader of their coalition is saying we don't recognize and we don't want to call you president, so we are not going to work with you in any way. But who is we here? Is Azimio House divided in terms of the we?
I don't believe the Azimio House is divided in terms of the we, because what happens when you're in positions of leadership, you must be very smart. I'll even give another example, adding to what you've said. You can remember when the president went to Gladys Wanga, Homa Bay constituency, She showed up. You remember there was even pictures, I think, during the intergovernmental, the big meeting where we had legislature, JB Muturi, etc. And you could see him talking with Kina Orengo. At the end of the day, these are elected leaders. And when the president comes and goes to Luo Nyanza, he will say, who are the leaders? The leaders will have to sit down with him. For all we know, he could have called them for a development meeting. It's like, let me meet these ODM leaders, who we know most of them are from Nyanza, and let's see the way forward and articulate issues. And when you look at the style of the Ruto's presidency, he wants to have a one-on-one with leaders, talk to them, find out what's the problem. So for me, I don't see any problem with any sitting leader, even if from the opposition, meeting with the president, as long as you don't start attacking your party. As long as you don't start being affiliated, for example, you're on ODM, you start affiliating yourself with UDA, but going to see the president, talking with the president, I see there's nothing wrong with that. If you remember the Yala MPs, just by virtue of the fact that you've been elected as an Yala MP, they did a courtesy call to see the president. I think apart from maybe Winnie Odinga, I'm not sure whether Kennedy Kalonzo went to see the president, but Kanini Kega went. So for me, it's not a surprise at all. And remember, if you look at history, for the likes of Kina Kanini Kega, those who were in Jubilee, the likes of Sabina Chege. Remember, Sabina Chege, before she decided to go the Azimio route, was completely conflicted. There were clips of her crying, being attacked in Murang'a, because she was torn, should I support Ruto, should I support quote-unquote Uhuru or the Azimio fraternity at that particular point. So from where I stand and looking at history, these are people who've known each other, who've worked with each other. Before we began, you said it yourself, strong politicians have begun in ODM. So the president must have met these fellas in between transitioning from ODM to creating Jubilee Party, to being part of the, because most of these faces are not new. Yeah. Yes. So for me, what would surprise me is when an ODM MP like Babu, if Babu Owino went to see the president, then I'd say something. Yes.
But you saw Felix Oduor, aka Jalango, and this is a dyad of Baba, for that matter. But if you saw the clip yesterday, they were so jovial and they were cracking jokes with the president. And these leaders have not been attending the Azimio demos, the public engagement meetings, for that matter. Does this leave more questions than answers?
Okay, like Jalango has been attending the rallies, and in fact he was there at Kibra on Sunday. But again, you see, like, politics is interest. It's not about it's not like marriage where there's love and companionship, whatever. You see, like, this, what serves your interest? And let's take it like, for example, for Jalango. Like in the previous regime, it was Korir was the MP for Langata. But then, you see, like, Korir was elected on a Jubilee ticket. But then now, it is Jalango. So you understand well that it's not about being in ODM. It's not about being in what party, but it's about serving the people. Because at the end of these 5 years, he will want to be elected. But then, you see, like, after visiting the president, he came out and said that, you see, the president called me in the morning to go and see him. And of course, like, while there, like, I went also to confirm, like, about the project, which, about the housing project, and also about the TVETs and development in my region. And the president assured me that already, like 50 million has been set aside to ensure that...
actually.
Yes, 50 million has been set aside to make sure that the TVET and other institutions within my constituencies will be completed. So you see, like, he's also speaking to his constituents and also to Azimio. But of course, like, this is the president and we want development in our region. So actually, like, politics is just serving interest. And again, you see that both other leaders from Nyanza who went there, like, were saying that, like, we went there to follow up on what the president had promised us. Yes. So
but how should it be done? What's the process? Should I get the approval of my political party leader for me to go see a political party leader who is a rival, for that matter? Do I need approval? Because that's where the question is. They did not get approval from everybody in the party organs.
From what I see, for me, I don't think you need any approval. Your relationship with the party and your relationship, because they are going in their capacity, if anything, even this guy could have gone. But the reason they're going is because they have an elected mandate.
Elected through a party.
Yes, elected through a political party. One of the smartest things a politician can ever do is to learn how to read the room. At the end of the day, yes, you're elected through a political party, but you also have a legislature has 3 roles: representation and oversight. And when it comes to representation, how do you represent your people? It's by engaging with, if you're in the legislature, you engage with the executive arm of the government. So you cannot shoot yourself in the foot. Let's say you say, now me, I'll not engage on the other side. You weigh your options, right? I don't engage at all, and then I don't have development. What will you tell the people after 5 years when you can't negotiate for anything because you are at large? And we know the executive has the capacity to twist you. For example, in the housing project for 50 million, you know housing is not a devolved unit for starters, which means if the executive does not work with the legislature, you're done. Where will your voice be? How will you push for public participation? How will you allocate your CDF if you're not in tune with what is happening in the national government? So for me, I look at it as a delicate, a very serious delicate dance that you must toe the party lines, and smart politicians have done it. Even the president himself has done it throughout the years. Yes.
But what's the question, Vincent?
Okay.
So like in the previous, before, I think before the president visited Nyanza, actually the former Prime Minister Odinga said that of course elected leaders are allowed to meet him and to discuss development. And of course, even after visiting Siaya, the governor said that of course we have met, but it was not about 2027, it is about development. So that's what was happening. It's about development. Yes. And again, of course, if you go back through history, you'll find that in the past regimes, when you are in the side of opposition, of course, your area will not be developed. That is real, and that is how it has always been played.
Should it be so? Not
really, but as you can also remember, let's say after handshake, remember what Honorable Musalia Mudavadi was saying, that you see after handshake, more development was taken to Nyanza, but not to the western region. So he was rallying his people towards Kenya Kwanza, telling them that you see now that this ODM is individualistic. When they had it in power from 2018 or after the handshake, the development went to Nyanza alone and not western. So he was sidelined. So it's just about interest. But again, you see the current president want to change the narrative. He's saying that of course I will serve all the people as Kenyans. Yes.
But does ODM leader Raila Odinga has a reason to be wary? Because the president is super in playing chess. He's a master in chess play, and we've seen it before. He knows how to scoop from the plate of the opposition. Is done that immediate after the elections. The guys who are that party of, was it UDM? Yeah, they moved immediately, changed ranks to Kenya Kwanza. Is it a reason for Raila to be wary because his house needs to be in order as well, and he needs to create a caveat that will help him to contain his members from moving sides?
For me, I don't think he needs to be worried. ODM is currently not the oldest, but one of the oldest and most strong political parties as we sit here today. I mean, we cannot dispute on the strength. Secondly, I feel like even if you talk about disgruntlement in political parties, ODM is a bit better. Even UDA is a bit, there are people who are waiting still to be CSs. There are people who have not been sorted. There is the Rigathi Gachagua Sakaja kind of thing, which you don't find in ODM. The scandals you find in ODM or the things is like Buddy says today, I don't want to be chairman, I want to be chairman, whereby there is that fight in sort of positions. But in terms of strength of the party, I'd say the party is pretty strong. The legislatures are, if you look at the Hansard, most who have been contributing actually to what's going on in parliament is ODM. So it also has, in terms of strength of character, maybe in terms of numbers, not so much compared to UDA. But I feel like Baba doesn't have, he's an enigma of Kenyan politics. He's also a chess master. He's also equally a chess master as his counterpart. So I think the party is still very strong and it will continue to be strong. It has structures. I mean, since 2005, every other person has the habit. You want to get into Kenyan politics, you form your own political party, that kind of thing. And on the other hand, I'd also look, when I'm looking at Nyanza and Western kind of thing, if Ruto was not able to convince the Western, the likes of Mudavadi, the likes of Wetangula, the honorables, to join UDA, not as Kenya Kwanza, but to split their parties, to split Ford, to split, if he was not able to convince them to split, but join as
with their parties.
With their parties, then I don't see why somebody would want to move, especially if you come from Nyanza. And the structure of political parties in Kenya. Political parties are tribal, they have their own routing. So why would you shoot yourself in the foot unless you have other agendas? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to look at a statement that was released by the Director of Communication of the ODM party. I cannot find it, but I can try to paraphrase what I read. And this is what he said. In the quest for legitimate leadership, some will fall on the wayside, but the quest continues. We are strong. That is what he said. Is it an acceptance that we might lose a few members in our quest? Because there is talk that there is division in ODM party as far as the public engagement meetings, the demos against the government of the day is concerned. Is it a reason to accept that in our quest we might lose some?
I'll partially agree with Anne. But of course, both the president and the former prime minister, both of them are chess masters. They are both very smart. Mm-hmm. But again, when it comes to ODM, of course, ADM is very shaky because of the leadership matters. As you know that, of course, Baba is on his, was in he's on
Twilight, yes.
Yes. Yeah. The sun is setting on him. So of course, he's on his way out from ODM leadership. So you see, there will be that wrangles. There will be those leadership wrangles. So there is no that, let's say, cohesiveness or the party is not strong. Mm-hmm. Yes. But then, to come back, on the question that you had asked, because we're not seeing some leaders at the rallies. Mm-hmm. Baba is very smart, and if you can see that he has brought in new peoples, he has bring in youths, because he knows that these elected leaders, they will pursue their own personal interest. Mm-hmm. So it's bringing in a new crop that at least will be with him in all times. If you bring in the ghetto president, you bring in people like Okanga from Kayole. Mm-hmm. You bring in different youths from the university, from where they will stand by you. Yeah, and the leaders will pursue their own selfish interest. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So for you feel even if they lost, those already elected, they have a crop that they can build on.
But again, you say he has not lost them, because you say they will not support him publicly, but of course they will do through finances. Mm-hmm. Because you see, for you to rally that kind of a mass, you must have finances. Yes, take finances. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We are going to talk about finances because there is talk that actually the person behind the demonstrations is a big figure in the country, and we're going to look into the issues to do with why the demonstration. But before then, just to talk about the issues to do with the parties and organization and all that. There is talk, actually not talk, it was confirmed yesterday by the minority leader in parliament, and this is what was the name? The name is Obiondai, saying that he has called for a must-attend meeting for the Azimio parliamentary group tomorrow. That's on Thursday. Yes. And this comes at the wake of meeting with the president. Jubilee did that. ODM has done that. So it's kind of calling for a must-attend meeting to look at what exactly is happening. Is the coalition together? That's the question. But what is the worst that can happen in such a meeting?
I think for me, it's what's the best that can happen in such a meeting. And for me, I don't see it as anything new because the Azimio has always done things like this. If you remember during when the elections were about to be announced, they had various meetings at KICC meeting telling people, calm down. This other counterpart, they had their meeting at Quer, telling people, wait. And you can see even after elections, when it came to electing the leadership, people didn't just find themselves in parliament. If you can remember clearly, they had a meeting, I think, in Naivasha, some sort of retreat, and they came up with a consensus. In the election of the Iyala, you remember it was debated and it was very hot. Today, somebody was coming number 6, tomorrow they are number 1. And some even defied the presidency. But it's become now like a style of collision. When it's collision, they have their meeting. When the president wanted to set the agenda with the MDAs, that's the ministry, the departments, agencies, and ASOs, he called all of them. He said, come, let's have a meeting. They had a meeting at, I think, that country club, Naivasha Country Club. And they set up the agenda. They sat there for 3 days and had their ideas. So if the government is taking shape, organizing itself and having its own ideas, and I believe even when it comes to the CSs, maybe there might be such kind of a consensus. I believe then also the opposition should do the same. They must check. They're like, we've done how many demos now? Are they 2 or 3? I don't know. They've done
3 now.
There are 3 now. They've said they want to start doing, I think, twice. Jeremiah Kioni said they wanted to start doing, I think, twice. The county baradas, etc. I feel like it's very much in order. Even Kenya Kwanza, when it began, you remember with the hustler narrative, their campaign agenda, they would go to those county halls in counties and discuss issues. So Azimio maybe has come to see the day that it's now the economic agenda that's hurting people. Maybe it wants to go and talk about that. And of course, there are various changes in laws that are coming, and they must be negotiated. Azimio has Martha Karua, who's an institute lawyer, James Orengo, and the likes. I think even Gladys Wanga is no, I don't think she's an advocate. But they need to tell us what's the devil in these laws, if they are so bad when people are being, when taxes are being reintroduced. So we want to see the lacuna, we want to see what the Azimio experts have come up with and tell us. So these coalition meetings will continue to be there. If you want to have a strong foothold in how you relate with the people, some will go to church, some go to church every Sunday, Thanksgiving prayers, some hold rallies, each to their own. Yes.
All right, but
so like the tomorrow meeting, so like it will be a stock checking kind of, because like at the 10x, let me confirm it are still intact or some have broken. Okay. Because we see like when you see like a member of a party, you see the 9, like 8 of them are from ODM, and of course one is an independent. Shakil is independent. MP, but he has been voting with the minority in the House. So like you say, like you want to check because if they went to see the president without informing the party, of course that is like it's a call to worry. Yeah, so it's right to check if they're still intact, because you say like how parliament operates. You say like the minority, like they will have to have their views as a minority. So we want to see like, do we still have numbers, or like what numbers do we have? So I think that's what he was saying, that I'll call a meeting tomorrow, and it is a must attend to check like if my house is still in order. Yeah.
But the president has been very categorical that he doesn't want in any way to diffuse the power of opposition. And this has been his stand, and going all the way saying that we are not going to do a handshake because we want a robust and strong opposition for that matter. But when you see him meeting these leaders, does it in any way, kind of pour cold water on his claims earlier that I'll make sure that we have a robust opposition?
Vincent.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Kevin. Then we come to Anita.
Actually, it's not talking all on oppositions, And as I said earlier, that in our constitution, like we don't have opposition in our constitution. Yeah. What we have is we have parliament to check in the government, and of course, like you see, like a parliament carries both. We have those from Kenya Kwanza, we have those from Azimio, and of course, like what he did is that he met elected leaders, and they were discussing development agendas. It was not political. You see, like they're not campaigning.
Because neither of us was in that meeting, so we don't know what was really discussed.
But then let me ask you, do we have election in this year?
No.
Next year?
No.
Yes.
2027.
What do we have now? We have development. And of course they have said, but what we went to see the president for is for development. And of course even the former premier said, but of course elected leaders can see the president on development agendas. So we believe that that is what they went to see the president for. And of course they have been called for a meeting tomorrow to explain themselves that, are you still with us or you have joined the government? Yeah.
And for me, as I said earlier, if you look at how this government is operating, it's really keen on working with elected leaders. I remember during the Kisumu tour, leaders had reservations, they sat down. A former leader came in early, 30 minutes early, sat down. Do you know he was removed from the meeting? He was told, here we are only working with elected leaders, because they've been elected, they have the mandate, they represent the people, they can sign off on a CDF, they can be added additional money, they can actually discuss with the sitting government, they can sit down with the PS, they can sit down with the CS on a particular road and ways of development. So for me, I see this thing going on, and he'll continue meeting leaders. Meeting them does not assure them of anything. If you remember, I think it was the UDM, the governor of, I don't know if it was Wajir, who jumped ship last minute. Yeah. The other day was complaining that he's not been offered anything in this government because he expected a post-coalition agreement. Maybe they'll get a CS position, maybe they'll get a PS position. Maybe they're still angling for a CS position, but that was not the case. Going forward, there are so many UDA supporters who've still not been rewarded. And we're talking about big names, you know them, Millicent Omanga, Cleopas Malala, Ketua Rogoro. They've not been rewarded. So even when the ODM MPs and one independent are going to see the presidency, for me, I believe it's on a purely development agenda, because what is there to gain? You're already an elected leader. What you can only push for is development projects. You're not trying to be a CAS. You're not. Those positions they've already been filled. So it's only for development agenda.
I want us to take this conversation to a whole new level, but even as we conclude that, we know the president is meeting the governors this weekend, and we believe that the governors from the ODM side, from the, from Nyanza and from other regions where ODM has bases, are going to be in attendance. If they don't, will it be a communication, will it be a communication to the president that, well, we are elected, but we are not going to sit on the same table with you if they don't attend. But we expect them to attend.
Yes. I'll remind you, I'll take you back. Previously in the 2017 elections, when we had 1 and 2, if you remember, we had 2 elections. Had 1 election and 2 elections. The second elections, yes, presidential elections, and there was boycott. In fact, Baba did not appear at the ballot for the second one. Yes, if you remember.
Uhuru got 99% of the vote.
Correct. And after that, the Nyanza governors they were saying they're not willing to work with government. They went AWOL. Do you know when money was disbursed, it used to be delayed? As a leader, you have a duty to the electorate. And let me tell you, them, they don't know how development money, then they know we elected you as governor, I elected you as an MP, and at the end of 5 years, if you've not performed, you're going to go home. So as a governor, if I want my money to be disbursed on time, I have to work with the sitting regime. If they have a development meeting, I have to go. Why? Because governors, can you imagine a situation whereby the governors have divided themselves into this Mount Kenya, into the quote-unquote the previous region. There's ASOL, arid and semi-arid, there's the coastal ones, that kind of scenario. So you can imagine if a junk, let me say, Nyanza region, for example, or Western region, if Nyanza region misses, who is going to hurt at the end of the day? It's your people, because even if the government decides to execute an agenda, the government will still execute an agenda. Then, without you, because you did not come to the table. If you are not at the sitting table and you're not deciding the menu, then all you can do is get the breadcrumbs, But if you want the best for your people, you must appear in these meetings, you must contribute, and you must get your share. You must know how to yes.
Yeah. What is your take?
Like my take is that, of course,
if they don't attend,
of course they will attend. Because first, you see, like they have green light from their party leader, but just meet the president on development matters.
But they don't recognize him as president. They say that.
Okay, like you remember, like for that one, let's say the first visit to Homa Bay, the governor was not there. And of course, she came out and explained that, you see, like I was not informed early, but the president will come to my county, to my area. Of course, if he had informed me earlier, I could have attended. But then, see the second visit. Of course, she was there, Governor Rengo was there, and they even said that, you see, like this meeting was a development agenda meeting. We don't discuss any politics of 2027. But again, you see, like even on this one, because you see, like countries, like the counties need resources. So of course they will attend that meeting to discuss the disbursement of resources. But let's assume that some of them are not attend. You see, like that will not affect the disbursement or what county is supposed to get. But again, remember, there are some like not everything is devolved. So there are some things that your county need, but
you
they're
need
not
to be a bargain for them.
Yes, exactly.
Because they are not outrightly given to you.
Exactly.
And,
yes.
and still on that, how do you even negotiate? There are these programs that came. You remember, like UHC, when it came, it started with 4 counties, 5 counties. Sometimes programs come, even international partners say, we want to do the International Day of the whatever. And they go and they see the president. Which county will we do? How will you ever negotiate for this? And you know, if you're hosting an international event, I remember Kisumu was doing the cities for about 3 days.
Yeah. Yes.
In terms of even local, the hotels, Imperial, like they benefit completely. So when you're not showing up for these meetings, you're disadvantaging your people. Apart from meeting with the presidency, what I'm expecting to see in that meeting, I'm expecting to see COB there. You see? I'm also expecting to see COG on the discussions of, we've seen counties, now it's become almost the order of the day. Today this county is trending because the MCAs, in the beginning it's been Meru throughout. Gachagua has always now been going to Meru or vice versa. Then it went to Kericho. MCAs, I don't know, they were mad, they didn't go to Dubai or who knows what. I believe some of these things, it's also for the county governments to check each other. How are you dealing with your MCAs? How am I dealing with the MCAs? Also to talk with the COB on the disbursement of revenue and checking each other and ensuring there is a level-headedness. So for me, just because, quote-unquote, the presidency has called the meeting, and we are seeing the style of the presidency. When he's calling for this meeting, he's not just calling himself, the executive and the legislature. No, you saw the other meeting where it was supposed to be a governmental meeting with CSAs and PSAs only, right? But we saw the Attorney General coming in. We saw other crucial leadership coming in. So for me, I'd expect to see those arms that deal with the county governments, for them to have a cohesive nature in how they deal with issues which we all agree are very many.
Okay.
Again, Vincent, like
I want us to take a break and come back. Okay.
Remember, like in the recent, of course, there was this meeting by COG, and they were saying that, of course, the Treasury has delayed our money. So, like, what is rightfully ours, like, should be given on time. So, I believe that even in this meeting, like, they will discuss that. And of course, like, for them to speak like with one voice, all of them will just have to be there. Yes.
All right. We want to take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at the issue to do with the politicization of taxation, for that matter, because that is also an elephant in the room, for that matter, as far as it is concerned, especially in the last few months, where the president says kila mtu atalipa ushuru, haijalishi wewe ni mweupe, mweusi, mrefu, mfupi, everybody must pay taxes. But the opposition, for that matter, they're saying that it's being politicized, and that there are people who are being put on the sword because of where they stand politically. But that's an issue that we want to look at shortly after this break. Do not go away.
Kirk now and going forward. We have a lot of family programs, and this being a Christian commercial station, we will partner with you as institutions, as individuals, so that we are able to reach out to the entire world. One person said that my parish is the entire world, and I believe that Kirk TV is going globally, and therefore bring your business. We are going to advertise it and also partner with you.
To partner with us, send your financial support to pay bill number 401-9613, account partner. Pay bill number 401-9613, account partner.
Are you looking to grow your business? Kirk TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647. Losing a beloved one can be one of the hardest life experiences. Death brings a total change in many setups, the family taking a huge position. Death also provides an opportunity to celebrate the departed and their achievements on earth. Kirk TV provides for you an opportunity to announce death and funeral at affordable fee. For more information, write to us via announcements@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647.
Wĩhithe thakame-inĩ ya Kristo nĩ tondũ noho hena ũhurũko na thayũ. Bwana pesifa. Indo-inĩ ciaku gũtirĩ na ũhurũko nĩ tondũ ona watua gũthikwo gũtirĩ hingo tũrĩ twathoma rũgano rwaku tũkauga nĩ atiga ngari 10 na boroti 400 kũrĩa mwena wa Aramu na ngenge ciegĩtengera. Gũtirĩ handũ handĩkagwo ũguo, wandĩkagwo watiga atumia 3 na ciana 4. Ũhoro waku ũgĩka atĩa? Thutha wa wiki 2 tukariganirwo niwe na tukanjiriria muturire witu ota kawaida. Okorwo ndurabangite nyumba yaku tugoka tukanjiriria kuruira ki indo iro cio ngibanga nyumba yaku wega. Bwana apewe sifa.
Mimi nauliza nyinyi, si nyinyi mnalipa ushuru? Si ukienda kununua kimbo unalipa ushuru? Si ukienda kununua mkate unalipa ushuru? Mnataka wale wadosi wakose kulipa ushuru? Watu wawache nani? Tunaelewana? Ndio mimi nimesema Kenya sio animal farm. Kenya ni nchi, sisi wote tuko sawa mbele ya katiba na sheria. Si kweli? Na mimi nafurahi kwamba sasa Wakenya wote wamekubaliana hakuna mambo ya waiver ya tax. Kila mtu awe mrefu mfupi, awe tajiri maskini, awe anajulikana hajulikani, awe mweupe mwembamba, kila mtu atalipa ushuru kwa Kenya yetu. Tuko pamoja hapo? Lakini mimi nafurahi sana hata wale wadosi wamekubali ya kwamba ushuru watalipa. Hiyo maneno mzuri kabisa. Hapo tuendanishe na hapo.
Well, hata wale wadosi wamekubali watalipa ushuru. When talking about wadosi, whom is he talking about here? I don't know if you are able to read those lines, Kirote.
Of course, it's obvious. There were peoples whose estates were exempted from taxes, and it is in the law, so obviously it's referring to the quote-unquote dynasty, the Kenyatta and the Moise estate, which is fine, kama wamekubali, but if you look at, when you're looking at issues, my lecturer used to tell me that you must look at the reasons why, the philosophy in. For me, I feel the reason why, first of all, the Kenyatas and Moise are not your ordinary people. We can't lie. They have been in the presidency. So I'm sure it was more of protecting the same way that we all know that a former head of state continues receiving certain amounts of money from the current regime, and they are not taxed. That's a fact. So for me, I believe it was there, but time has come, and we've come to a position whereby we want to review that. Number two, so that's the genesis, I'd say, the history or the philosophy behind that. But then now we come to the current times. The current times dictates, we must relook some of these old, some of these laws and how they serve us and how to better us. And what's the devil in some of those proposition? When you do that, when they start paying taxes, what about the rest of us? And I like the way he refers to the animal farm. He says, like, in the Animal Farm, written by George Orwell, 1984, he says some animals are more equal than others. Exactly. And he says, Sisi wote, we are the same, and he uses similes comparing that and that. We are the same, etc., we must pay taxes. But then again, we also don't pay taxes the same. If you look at the KRA regime, you know that if you earn a certain amount, you pay a certain amount. Beyond a certain threshold, you pay a certain amount. So when you're introducing all these taxes, for example, moving the NSSF from 200 to 2,000, for you maybe that's nothing. For you maybe it's nothing. But there's someone removing that extra 1,000, 1,800 is a lot for them. Fine, we want NSF, but with the cost of inflation and things that are coming up, and now it's tax. And then finally, so that I let him speak. I don't think Kenyans have a problem with paying taxes. Kenyans have a problem with, and if you looked at, sorry? Correct. And if you looked at developed worlds, the best countries, the ones that have the best social, where you give birth, your child, you first of all given money, the schooling is taken care of, etc. Us, when you are talking about Ezekiel Mashoga CS, education is always at loggerheads. He's saying you will pay, you will not pay. We say junior secondary, you will not pay. He's saying, we need to review help. Such kind of talks. So at an economy whereby we do not enjoy certain social protection, whereby we don't know the structure of NSSF, whereby the NSSF has been going through since 1992, it has been undergoing scandals of siphoning of money, where we don't know where this money is going, where your NHIF may be reliable, may not be reliable. So the question is, we will pay taxes, but we need to see the value for money. We need to see, and we just need the basics. Food, in terms of food, if it's food, how is the agriculture ministry utilizing money? Are our farmers getting fertilizer? Sorters in terms of food, sorters in terms of infrastructure. But the problems come in whereby your quote unquote, also you can't tax an economy to death. Yes, fine, let us all pay taxes, but also this money must be utilized well. And as the Auditor General says, we want to see value for money. For
money, for that matter.
Yes.
But Kevin, the president says we must pay taxes. Yes. Alafu anamalizia and says even wadosi wamekubali kulipa tax. He might not come out and speak about this wadosi directly, but his quarters, the people behind him, the deputy president, the leader of majority in parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, have come out and said, actually, it's Uhuru Kenyatta and the Moi regime that have not been paying taxes, for that matter. They even bring up the issue, the merger of the Central Bank of Africa and NCIC now into NCBA. They say that transaction did not pay taxes, they exempted themselves.
Yes.
Is it legitimate, or is it a case of hitting back now that I'm in power?
Before I forget, NSF is not tax. Actually, it is for your own benefit. Because yesterday I was listening to Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and he was saying that the way it was, with about 200 shillings, if you are paying about 200 shillings per month, after retirement, you find that you have saved only 84,000. So you are taking home 84,000 as your savings for the entire period that you have worked. So you see, they are saying that at least let's increase this money because it will help. It is for your own benefit. But then, for your question, you see, the president said that, of course, Kenya is not an animal farm where all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. So you see, when he talked about tax, he did not mention any name. But then later, Mama Ngina, the former first lady Mama Ngina, came out and said that, of course, we have been paying tax. And if there is any issue, then take us to court to solve the matter.
Let me play that clip, actually. I have the clip of Mama Ngina. Okay. She came out, guns blazing, and said, we pay taxes, and if you're not paid, there are laws to be followed. Can we have that clip of Mama Ngina, the former first lady? We played.
Hiyo vitu yako itachukuliwa, itauzwa. Si ndio hiyo sheria ya serikali? Kwa hivyo hakuna haja na ile laini ya kufanya kazi hiyo iko. Hakuna mambo ya ati kuharibia wale wengine majina na nini, hiyo sio kweli. Na watu wanajua hawasemi kweli. Wanataka tu kusema ndio wasikike, ati wanataja majina na makampuni. Walipe nini hii?
Now, you have the exact words she used. Now go on with your point.
Yeah, so like I was saying, see, the president did not mention any name, but he said that all of us must pay tax. And of course, you see, if the former regimes were not paying tax, then it was not lawful. Because what the president means is that, but from now on, all of us will pay tax according to the law. Because you see, for example, as you were saying, the merger of the banks, it was being said that we lost around 300 million shillings. So they exempted themselves from paying back tax by the virtue of being in the office. But now, the president is telling people that now, all of us must pay tax as required by the law. Okay? So it means then that, but there are some exemptions, but are allowed by the law. But some were allowed because people were in power. So he's saying that, so he's telling the carrier and he's telling everybody that now, henceforth, all of us must pay tax. Because you see, actually, government gets its fund, the main source of income for the government are the taxes. There are no donors or what, you can't depend on donors or even loans or whatever. But the main source of income for the government is tax. And of course, you see, now there is a problem in Turkey, the earthquake. And you add our foreign affairs years this morning, you were saying that now, with that problem, now Kenya has to come in, and of course we will take to them coffee, tea, groundnuts, and actually he called the Kenyans to contribute clothes, money, food stuff to take there because they are in a problem. But you see, we can't do this if our coffers are empty. Yes.
For me, I feel like we still can't, but by these people are exempted from paying taxes, I would wish to see the exact details. Because also these people are running serious businesses in this country. And you're running a business, you're also employing people. And if you remember in the previous regime, we had these issues of taxes. If you can remember Kina Keroshe, why did Keroshe vie for senator in Nakuru County? because she realized, the only way for me to operate this business
to have power.
Is to have power, be part of the power sharing process. So even if I'm paying taxes, taxes should not be that I have, I'm so taxed until Kirk TV cannot operate. It cannot be such that you can. It should be, let's have an agreement. If you look at in one of the dailies today, the EABL, the Ageo deal, and they are trying to buy. And then if you look at shareholding, when public listed companies give their shareholding every year, Safaricom, etc., there is always a tax that they always retain, and say they pay a certain amount and say this one. They are always in debt. You can never be free from debt, especially from government. In fact, government even owes you. Because you are born in Kenya, the government owes each and everything that is in this country. Which means that, fine, let us pay taxes, but let not tax people to death. Let me not tax you until you cannot be operational. I support completely what the deputy president says. He says, give to Caesar. It's in the Bible. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. We completely agree. But also Caesar cannot take everything until you're... And then when he's giving that, give to Caesar what belongs to... You remember in the Bible, the same Bible still talks about how times were hard in terms for Caesar. Those Roman... people would get in, beat people, pay taxes, ujalipa taxes, nini. So even if you're doing that, you do it, you proceed. In a book I read in high school by Henrik Ibsen, Enemy of the People, he talks about proceed with moderation. Yes, and Mama Ngina says the same, yeah? He says, let's, if there are due laws to be followed, and there is also due procedure, but don't come, ujalipa taxes, pay taxes now. It's how much, and what, and tunapangana aje tulipe.
What agreement?
Yeah, so that my businesses are not closing. People, and you've seen it happen. So that my business is not closing, and then when that happens, it's a ripple effect. I can't employ people. I can't pay people on time. Remember, we are talking at a time whereby the economy is hard and companies are retrenching. So yeah, I need to see that exact formula so that it doesn't look like political witch hunt.
Okay, coming, what are you saying?
I won't agree with that the senator vied to evade taxes.
To evade? That's
You're saying that I feel like for her to avoid paying taxes, now she vied to be a senator.
Okay.
I think she's saying that. Those are not her exact words.
But yeah.
Yeah, okay, they may not be her exact words, but she said that, of course, she vied so that at least she will be exempted from paying taxes. You see, I don't see if that is in order or even right.
Actually, that case is now ongoing, and she's going, and Kerosi company for that matter. Let's not use her because the company is Kerosi, and they have agreed they are going to pay the tax in 400 billion or so, that they are going to agree on the modalities to pay that.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
You see, the first question is, but why were they not paying tax if they're not paying? Or why were some people why were they exempted from paying tax? Now, but because you see that by the time we were towards election, of course, KRA was weaponized against some people who are perceived to be supporting the DP. So a question was, so if you are supporting the DP now, you are now the enemy of KRA or the enemy of the people. So the question is, but in the first place, why were they not paying these taxes? It means then the law was not being followed. But now, the president has come out and has said, but now, this is not animal farm. This is a country, and we are a rule of law. We will follow the law. If you're supposed to pay tax, you will have to pay tax. But of course, it will not be like a penalty. Yes. Like a KRL, will not be a burden to you, but
it's not going to be a punishment for that matter.
Yes.
Let me play a clip here. Actually, two clips back to back of Azimio leader Raila Odinga, as well as the Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, weighing in on the issue to do with taxation.
Nasema vile vile kuna shirika ya kiserikali inaitwa Kenya Revenue Authority, imepewa jukumu ya kutoza ushuru kwa watu. Si Bwana Ruto. Kwa hivyo wawache KRA ifanye kazi yake, wasileta siasa kwa mambo ya ushuru.
Moi akudhulumu jamii ya Kenyatta. Alisema nini? Fuata nyayo. Akaheshimu jamii ya Kenyatta. Ndio hata sasa mama mzee mwenye heshima kama Mama Ngina Kenyatta unataka kumtoa ushuru ile inaitwa death. Wacha nikwambie hii ni
Yeah, that is the leader of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Political Coalition Party, Raila Odinga, as well as his counterpart in the same coalition, the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, weighing in on the issue to do with taxation, saying it's like it's being weaponized against the first family, talking about bringing in Mama Ngina, of course, whom we had speak earlier on the issue to do with that. But what is your take on this? Is it the right time for the government to do this? Do you feel is it the right time to do this, or they should have waited for a little bit, some time for the political temperatures to really go low for them to come up and see how now to ensure that everyone, including the first families, pay taxes?
I don't know, like, what your question means. Like, is it the right time to do this?
Yes.
Because what the president is saying, he's telling KRA that now everybody has to pay tax. Because where we are as a country, like, our coffers are almost empty. And if we are to survive as a country, then all of us must work and all of us must pay taxes.
Is the timing right for you? You feel, because this is being used now, and they're saying it's being weaponized.
You know, like, as I said, you say, like, in the previous regimes, like, it's like they were not doing it according to the law. Like, they were exempting themselves and their friends who are in power. Okay. You see? But now he's saying that now, but it's over. So, KRA, this is a new order. Everybody must pay tax. Let's follow the law.
Okay, the question is, let me ask you this question, Anita. And if the KRA is an institution that is mandated to collect revenue for the government, why then not allow the institution that is mandated to do that do it instead of making this kind of political, because you're giving these sentiments and the proclamations on political rallies, for that matter, because the president said this, on top of a car after leaving church on Sunday and all that. Why not allow the KRA to go on with its work without you, magnifying the issue?
One thing I must say about the Kenya Kwanza regime is, even from the onset, I think now we should be talking about 100 days. I'm seeing some cabinet secretaries, they're doing their 100 days and what they have achieved. I saw Sakaja doing a town hall meeting. I've done ABCD. And these guys, you can check from the onset, they used to give double statements. If you remember, CBK, in fact, I told my mom I'm feeling sorry for the corporate communications officers or directors in these government institutions, because every other day they have to remove a parallel statement. If you remember on the onset, remember CBK when a statement was issued by the presidency.
The issue to do with the dollars or what?
Yes, and it became a case. In fact, even the shillings dropped a few just because of political acclamation. So for me, I see it's like, I don't know what they do. Every Thursday when they sit in these cabinet meetings, what they decide and say, now the topic is taxes. For the next 6 weeks, like this guy was last year, for the next 6 weeks, we are going to talk about taxes. And then it's taxes, taxes, taxes. Yes, the government agencies that are involved, they're either MAM or kidogo, they issue a parallel statement. Kama yesterday, the topic has been here, as he said, NSSF is not a tax, but it's a deduction on your salary. And some people are asking, can it really happen? Where is that Wally? Can it really move from 200 to 2,000? Yes, it's okay, but like, can it really move just like that? Can Parliament get involved? Those are the discussions I've been hearing. In fact, there was even a Zoom to that matter. Yeah. So for me, I feel like now this has become now the modus operandi, and it has continued and it will continue. The next topic will involve now another institution that is quiet. I think we'll go on to the data protection, etc., because when you're talking a lot about taxes, then now you come to data protection. There are people who do not take it lightly when you say their names and say what they've done or not, they've not done. They say, no, you must protect my data. At what point do so these issues will continue being there, and I think they're controlling all over all these agencies. So we'll see. But for me, it's not something new, because this is not the first institution that has experienced this, and I believe it will continue.
Do you feel that like the KRA is mandated enough? They have the autonomy and the power to do what they can do without the politicians, without the government coming out and speaking out loudly that they need to do this? Yet they have a mandate, they know how to do it.
Completely. For me, I feel like KRA is very, number one, very well sourced. Number two, very well publicized. Number three, doing its work. I mean, all of us sitting here will confess when it's time to pay for your dues to file. We all file returns here. How many emails do you get from KRA? How many adverts do you get from? I mean, really, nobody really needs to remind you to pay taxes. KRA will be on your email. KRA will be on your case to remind you to file. And then, the penalty. You'll get penalized. I think it's 2,000. You fail to pay it's 2K. Next time you want work in some public office, you realize, you don't have a KRA clearance form. I mean, KRA is one of the most effective, unlike some parastatals that nobody really knows what they do. KRA is one of the best, so I don't think anybody needs to speak for KRA. KRA can speak for itself.
Yes.
There is this question, who mandates KRA? Or to what extent are they autonomous? Because of course, you see, do they make their own laws? The answer is no. They don't make their own laws. And of course, we said that the president said, making these statements on KRA, it was on top of his vehicle from the church.
Yeah, which
so
is
of course,
true.
you see, he was speaking to the people. But now that the exemptions, time is up, so all of us must now pay KRA. And of course, also for informing KRA. But now, if you are exempting some people, then that is over. But then, you see, who make laws that govern KRA? It is the political leaders. So if they see that there is some loopholes, of course they will come in and fix them. And KRA will have to follow those laws or rules. Yes.
Can I shock you? Do you know the biggest headache of a governor when he goes into office? He finds that ask any governor and their papers written on it. The first shock they get is the money for KRA is deducted from the staff, the NSSF. Let me even use NHIF. All these deductions, yeah. Let me use that because for NHIF, I'm very sure. You find that it's deducted, but it's not being paid. It's withholding inside for the first governor. There was a change. There was a former governor, and then you come in. Then when you come in, you usually find you owe KRAs how many million. You owe NSSF how many million. And there's a time the former president Uhuru said, now these government institutions. Do you remember he said these government institutions must stop suing each other? Do you remember at some point?
Yeah.
Because they used to be, there needs to be a sort of autonomy on how all these organizations operate together. Yes, otherwise this will forever be the case. Now you have to use political solutions to solve things.
Because for me, where I'm
Vincent,
seated,
I just remembered something. You see, sometime back, I was in Migori County, and of course, I can remember. You see, with the change of regimes, you see, when a governor comes in, he says that now, because he's collecting tax, there are some taxes collecting within his county. So, he introduced some new tax, on the Buddha Buddha guys. You can say that, of course, you are paying 50s, but now I want you to increase it to 100, or I will waive for this. So you see, it is the political leaders who decide what happens with this, or how revenue are being collected or being handled. Yes.
But for me, from where I'm seated, I wonder why, if we have an institution and you mandate it to do its job, why do you have to make a political statement about it? Why not just email them, because you have the power to do that, or go to their office, or call the commission and tell them this and this. I need a report. Actually, you ask for a report first. How has it been done? And then you say now here I need us to do this and this. You don't have to go out and do a political rally for that matter, because that now makes it politics. Now that turns it completely and becomes politics.
I think
as I said, he was speaking to both KRA and to the people. Okay, so you can't email the people as a president. You say of course you will tell the people to know how now things will be done.
Does that doesn't that turn to be political for that matter, for you? You feel?
But you see, like, what is politics, surely?
At least revenue collection should not be politics. At least.
For me, I see it's turning issue and bringing them to the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're also digressing. So you bring things to the court of public opinion where everybody now has their views. They say this, they say this. But as you say, if you wanted to solve some of, and you know, the best president, undisputedly, that this country has ever had, is President Kibaki.
Yes.
And me, all I used to hear is he has this panel, this task force, which is going to investigate in etc. He gets the paper and he actually implements. Kibaki never used to say the former. Yet we know we had a 24-year regime that it was a dictatorship. Yes, but when he came, yeah, of course he was part of it. But so I could argue the same for the president. Wasn't he? I mean, where do I live? If I live in this country, wasn't he part of it? The same way Kibaki was part of it. You know, the same way, but he was for 10 years. You want to tell me at one point he was not part of, and only the last minute during the handshake is no, you know, me, I've been part of this regime for 5 years, 6 years, but the others don't count them. Me, I count them. You should have resigned like Odinga or Oginga. Wait.
Let's go for Kibaki.
For Kibaki, yes. So I'm saying for Kibaki, he inherited. I don't know. I hear the current DP talking about a dilapidated country. But
economy.
Kibaki inherited a country that had no roads, had no economic development. Kibaki engineered our relationship with China. Kibaki engineered all these good roads we see today. And Kibaki was not going to church every Sunday, you know. As in, these are facts, and may his soul rest in peace. But I mean, we are clearly beginning to see that you don't have to issue roadside declarations. You don't have to keep on talking on media every other day and talking every day. Let your CSS be autonomous. Let institution, if an institution is supposed to be independent. You know, the funny thing with this country, in fact, the institutions with the word independent are the ones that are not totally independent. If you go to the act and you just see a word there, independent, you just know that institution is not independent. So for me, I say, if you can really emulate the Kibaki way, let institutions be. You don't need to tell them, you already know the mandate. If you don't think they are well enough, wapeleke KSG, Kenya School of Government. They do an SLDB course for 6 weeks. They talk and they know exactly what they're supposed to do. And they'll be fine, because most of the things, Kibaki never used to send even people abroad that is go and benchmark and come tell us what other people. He used to send them to KSG who have qualified lecturers.
Yeah, I want to take those as your last sentiments. Now, let me take your last sentiments. We have to call it a day here. We have a minute or so.
You know, Kibaki was the longest serving VP during Moi. And of course, he only left Moi when he was now vying for the presidency. But now, let's come to our kind president.
Yes, in 30 seconds.
They disagreed after the second election or for the second term. They disagreed at the beginning. But then about KRA, if KRA was independent, because like we are sure that it is not independent in this regime. They were independent even in that regime. But then, if they were autonomous even in that regime, then why are we seeing like these loopholes? But now the president is now coming in to fill them.
Well, I don't want to give my personal opinion because I'm the referee here, so I'm not allowed to give my opinion. But I think it's time to look at how to make the institutions work without us making them public, without making public sentiments and declarations that are going to turn this to be politics, because that is now what the opposition is running with. On the political rallies and saying it is being weaponized because of this and this. But this can be done in boardrooms, can be done, and at the end of the day, as Kenyans, all we want to know is when we see the books are being, the balance sheet at the end of the year, we see that this money was collected from here and there, and this is what it was used for. The value for money, as Anita said here. Can we finish this show?
Yes,
because
Vincent, you know, Vincent, like these are tough times, of which like people want to know like what is happening. Like it is tough times. So what are you doing about it? So it's like you just have to update you that you see now, like what I'm doing is this and this and this. So okay, so you must.
Can it be said? Can it be seen more than it being said? Can we see it more than
like
hearing it?
the solution, like you can't see the solution immediately. Of course, it will take some times.
Okay.
But now, like people have to know that you are doing something to bring in the solutions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I give you 30 seconds to give your last sentiments so that we call this a day? Because if we give it another minute, it might extend for another 10 minutes.
Yes. For me, my closing sentiments will be: it's within every government right to tax its citizens, but don't tax your citizens to death. If somebody has any arrears, follow due process, and let it be negotiated, because nobody wants to be out of business, and we all love this country. Otherwise, we would have invested elsewhere. We would have run away. We would not be even working in this country, but we're in this country because we love this country and we want it to have the best of everything. So taxes we will pay, lakini tupelekwe pole pole.
And this reminds me that it's about that time of the year when you need to file your returns, because it's going to be that time. So ensure that when you leave here, kindly file your returns, unless you also want to be a part of this big elephant that is being tried to be brought down by cutting the legs or shooting it down, whichever way it goes. Yeah, we want to call that a day this morning as far as the show is concerned. I believe that the time has not been sufficient, of course, but we'll try to create more time next time when we invite you, so that we give you more time to crisscross and allow you to give your sentiments that are going to help us build the show. My name is Vincent Kerosi. I've been with Anita Nkerote. She's a political analyst. And of course, Kelvin Gundi, who is also a political commentator and analyst for that matter, also a politician for that matter. He vied in the last elections. Did you vie? Do you want to do that in the next election?
Okay. But I supported my brother.
Did you win?
No, I'm not.
Did your brother win?
Represent my people.
Did your brother win?
No, he did not, but he's doing very well in the political arena.
You're looking at 2027?
Yeah, definitely.
Wish you all the best.
Asante.
All right, my producer is always on my ear telling me it's about time. Okay, it's about time we call it a day. See you again next Wednesday, God willing. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the rest of the week, and let's continue to engage on our social media pages. Kirk TV Kenya on Facebook, Kirk TV Kenya _ did they say Kirk TV _ Kenya on Twitter, and of course our SMS number is 0311220044. Able to look at what you say. Keep the conversation going. We'll be able to engage as time goes by. I want to repeat my name. Vincent Kerosi is my name. This Kirk in the morning. Kwaheri for that.